My mother-in-law kept inviting my husband's ex-girlfriend to every family event, including our wedding, where she wore red, so I cut them all off. Hi, I'm Priya, 33, and my husband Sam, 35, and I have been no contact with most of his family for 3 years now. In those 3 years, I've had twin boys, which has made my mother-in-law, or MIL, try to get back in contact. There's a lot of history, but here's a brief summary of why Sam and I are no contact, and it all revolves around Sam's ex, who we'll call Lena. So I'm Indian American, and Sam is white. He comes from a pretty traditional family and grew up in a small town. Lena was MIL's best friend's daughter, and they were the small town romance everybody envied. However, upon meeting in college, Sam and I just clicked on a platonic level. To be honest, I didn't even have feelings for Sam until 4 dates in. I guess you could say he had an emotional affair, but he never did anything physically romantic until he broke up with Lena. Lena, of course, remained in contact with his family since she had been, according to MIL, the daughter she always wanted. Keep in mind, Sam has a sister, but Lena is more of a homemaker, while his sister, Lily, who is an absolute angel, and I had always been more career-focused. Lena had been at every holiday, family gathering, and get-together since the very start of our relationship. At first, I paid it no mind. I was civil to Lena because MIL made it clear Lena mattered to her, despite Lena's blatant distaste and disrespectful attitude towards me. That changed at my weddings. We had two, and my parents footed the bill for both. The dress code was simple. Aside from the obvious no white bridal party colors rule, nobody was supposed to wear red. I am well aware that red means you've slept with the groom in some traditions, but more importantly, red is a bridal color in my culture. I wore a red lehenga to my Indian wedding, which she showed up to in an eggshell, off-white dress. Keep in mind, white is worn at funerals to represent purity in my culture. That got my aunties and cousins talking, but I still had a blast, since I really didn't care. I did care when she showed up to the American ceremony in a floor-length, apple-red gown with a slit going up the leg. It was a bridesmaid's dress, and it violated the dress code. Lily, along with Sam, went to tell her to change. She did leave after having a hushed argument, and came back in a teal-length green gown. I assume she just wanted to see if she could get away with it. Apparently, my aunties saw this too, which meant Lena was subjected to stares, whispers, and backhanded giggle fits throughout my whole American wedding. It made Lena feel embarrassed, and she cried to Mill, who then came to me and told me to keep my kind in line. To this, I crossed my arms and told her that maybe Lena should have stayed in her lane, that she knew not to wear red for multiple, but mostly cultural reasons, and it wasn't my fault my family was shaming her. It isn't my fault she became cannon fodder for my gossiping gaggle of a family. Yes, I said those words, since that is what my aunties are. Those were the consequences of her actions. Sam and Lily backed me up, and MIL left with Lena before dessert. The next day, there was a social media post from Lena, crying about how she was exiled from her best friend's wedding because the bride was jealous. I made a post back, telling her that she wore red, knowing how inappropriate it was, how her best friend was her ex, and to not sugarcoat what she did. I then tagged my MIL in a separate post with screenshots of Lena's post and told her this was the last straw and that I had been disrespected by Lena from the very beginning of my relationship. Now that I was her daughter-in-law, she needed to keep Lena away from family events and holidays since she doesn't respect my husband and me. I didn't care if they still went on weekly shopping sprees or spa days. Just keep her away from Christmas and barbecues. Lena removed her post after being publicly called out. MIL was good on this compromise until 3 years ago. Lena came to Thanksgiving with a pie and a plastered smile, a Thanksgiving that I was hosting. She said something along the lines of, MIL invited me, and I wanted to make sure MIL can actually eat something, since I know you tend to cook ethnic food. I slammed the door in her face, went over to Meal, and told her she could leave with Lena, who I had just slammed the door on. Sam looked at his mom, who had this deer-in-the-headlights look. She tried to sputter excuses, and Sam's dad, FIL, tried to defend MIL. But Sam stood firm. He said they had lost access to him and any extension of him since they chose Lena. My in-laws, aside from Lily, left, and we haven't spoken since. Fast forward to last week. I got a text from an unknown number, and it was MIL. She said she saw a picture of my boys from a mutual friend's post and wanted to reconcile. She said she'd keep Lena away this time, and that ever since she got cut off, she'd been in minimal contact with Lena anyway. Her Facebook begs to differ. I told her as much, saying I knew BS when I smelled it, and she made her choice. I told Sam about it and asked if he missed his family. He shrugged, saying he doesn't care, and it's been relieving not having his mom around. He's the youngest son of 3, so he was always the baby boy. But I have since received texts from my MIL's other sons, their wives, and my Fiel begging for a second chance. Emil always wanted to be a grandma, and I do feel like I'm robbing her of a chance. Her other sons haven't had children yet and still cut her off when we did. But you can't undo nearly a decade of disrespect with wishes and wants. And Lena is still in the picture, so I'm skeptical about how long that promise will last. I feel like I'm being callous, but there are so many stories I can tell about Lena's disregard for Sam's boundaries and mine, and I don't want to welcome a storm into my house by opening up the gates. Here's a quick clarification, since some people were confused. Sam did not cheat on Lena with me. The timeline goes like this. Sam and Lena were originally forced to hang out since childhood, and Lena developed a crush. The two got together in 7th grade. Sam left for college and met me. We hung out platonically and had stuff in common, more stuff in common than he did with Lena. He went home and broke things off with her. He asked me out the following week, and it took 4 dates before I actually started to view him as a serious potential partner. See, no overlap of relationships, no affair, no reason for anyone to say I was the other woman. Also, for everyone who thinks I was the other woman, and the reason my MIL hates me, is because Sam cheated on Lena. No, he didn't. And before anybody says, you're being awfully defensive, you must have cheated. I'm defensive because I view adultery as a crime nobody can come back from. In my culture, adultery is very common. I believe studies show 55% of married Indians have committed it, and so it is a sensitive subject. Also, to clarify, Lena is the one who wore the white dress to the Indian wedding and attempted to wear the red dress to the American wedding. I know a few people were confused on that too. So now onto the update. We have remained no contact with MIL. After receiving a few more messages from that number, Sam and I formulated a reply that was along the lines of this. Dear MIL, you have repeatedly showed you don't care about Sam and I's feelings regarding multiple things. I'm sorry if our relationship broke apart that fantasy you had with Lena being your daughter-in-law, but the fact is, it wasn't going to happen. Lena has been a constant thorn in our relationship. Both you and her have been passive-aggressive, rude, oblivious, and snide in your remarks and actions towards us. You said you would refuse to come to the weddings if Lena was not invited, which you knew would make Sam look bad to my elders, who, unlike you, have since accepted him as one of our own. You allowed Lena to berate me, comment about me, joke about me, and if I ever tried to joke back, you would say, "That's not nice. She was just joking." Funny how jokes were pretty one way in that house. You made it very clear that Lena is the daughter you always wanted, hence why Lily cut contact when we did. The only reason your other sons stay is because they know if they leave, then you'll die with no kids to mourn you, since you nitpick their wives, now that I am no longer around to be the scapegoat. I have screenshots of everything between you and Lena and texts from the both of you, mocking ones and threatening ones. If you try to come after me for grandparents' rights, I will get my attorney, and I will make sure you keep your racist self away from my family. With all due respect, please leave us alone. You were fine not talking to us before we had kids. Maybe Lena can finally move on and give you grandkids. I then blocked their numbers and set all my socials to private. Sam did as well, and we have talked to family about going private and unfriending people who may have ties to MIL or Lena. Things have been quiet since then. I know Lena has seen the post since she screenshotted the reply and sent it to Sam via one of those apps you can get a spare number through. He sent a few laughing emojis before telling her he knows about the post and blocking her. Sam has always had my back like this. Even if Lena was in the picture, he and Lily would do little things to show we were a united front. I know a lot of people gave Sam flack in the last post for not standing up for me, but keeping my MIL in check was like a circus act, and my aunties are gossips to their cores. Once during a family barbecue, Lena spilled cola on my sundress, and Sam accidentally poured his water over her head while talking to Lily as they walked past. It was like a cold war, and as of right now, we finally seem to be winning. I got a message saying that Lena coming to my weddings was comparable to Camilla going to Diana and Charles's wedding. And now that I look back at it, it kind of was. Only Lena will always be the ex. If Mill or Lena does something, I'll be sure to come back. So hopefully, it doesn't happen again. Thank you all for your support. This story shows that setting firm boundaries is crucial, especially when family tries to disrespect your marriage. If you agree, hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. And for more tales of difficult family dynamics, check out our Family Feuds playlist.